My name is Florence Champagne, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Open My Heart Foundation. And just a little bit about my story. I suffered a heart attack in 2012. I would feel intense pressure in my chest, and I would feel shortness of breath and pain radiating down my arm. I went back and forth to the ER several times, but they would lower my blood pressure and then send me back home and tell me things like, you look fine, you're relatively young, you're okay, talk about stress and anxiety. Also, I didn't have insurance at the time, so I didn't have an ability to pay. One of the things with the disparities I found is that when you think about disparities, you think about age, you think about color, and you think about the ability of people to pay. Well, with the Open My Heart Foundation, I wanted a chance to highlight and award the survivors of heart disease, heart attack, and stroke. Heart disease is the #1 killer in stroke, and it disproportionately affects African American women. So I want you to hear the stories of not only the survivors, but the survivors that have gone on to thrive and do exceedingly well in their careers. Let's hear their stories.
My story, I went to Nigeria. I was tired, I was sleeping, and I knew something was wrong. I wanted to talk to my husband, but I couldn't remember my password. And that's when I knew something was wrong. The doctor told me that it was a stroke. So I went back to the hospital, and they said I was lucky because it was a clot and it burst. And that's when they told me that I have aphasia and I would have to go therapy with speech. And that's my story. Because I have a legacy, because I sing, I told everybody that you have to remember your purpose. Do it well, because you never know when you can die. It was hard to sing for a long time, but I think about it that they will remember the story that at least she's been singing. So I tell people, just hold whatever you're doing, do it well. I believe that I'm a survivor because I was able to fight. I'm so glad that I was able to sing again in my church. It helps people because they look at me all the time that I'm a survivor, that I'm always fighting, about what happened. So every time I sing, they use that with God also. And I tell them it's not about me, it is God, it's not me. I could have died. There's a reason why I'm still here. Ready? Yeah. Holy are you, Lord, all creation calls you God. Worthy is your name. We worship your majesty. Awesome God, how great thou art. You are God, mighty are your miracles. We stand in awe of your holy holy name. Lord, we bow and worship you.
Well, my story started in January of 1999. I had just returned to work 4 days from maternity leave with my second child. So she was 2 months old. My son was 2 years old. And I suffered a heart attack on the job. I was a teacher. Went to the hospital, and 4 days later, I suffered 3 more heart attacks, all in one day. 2 of them were full out cardiac arrest where I actually died and had to be resuscitated. And even the last one, at first they couldn't resuscitate me after several attempts. It finally worked. God stepped in and jump-started my heart, and here I am. During the course of that, I also underwent quadruple bypass surgery on that day. And somewhere in the mix, I've had 2 mini strokes. And about 6 years ago, I had to have a pacemaker and defibrillator put in. But here I am. But what I learned primarily from that experience is to capture the good life. And that has become my theme, living the good life. And I actually started a few years back doing life coaching with clients, teaching people how to capture the good life, which is living the life you were created to live, doing the good work you were created to do. I found my purpose, and I found that it's upon us, it's our onus to do what it is God put you here to do. As Miles Monroe used to say, leave here on empty, not on full.
Right.
Yeah.
And what makes you a survivor that thrives?
Well, what makes me a survivor that thrives is that I feel that I'm doing what God not only put me here for, but gave me a couple of other chances to be here. And I, first of all, try to get the message out. Definitely, faith is a major factor. And I've written a few books to help with encouraging others to live out their purpose, to live the good life, and to really answer the call, that God has put out there for you to do your piece, because we each have a piece to do. Well, I wrote 3 books. The first one was Wonderful Words of Life, which is a daily devotional and empowerment book, and it's daily inspiration for the good life. And you get your word of the day and your lifeline for the day, which is a power statement, and it's also a space for you to journal your own private thoughts and prayers. Then the second book is a poetry book, Nouns, Verbs, and Other Words. It rhymes. A poetry book, and it's inspirational poetry in here. But the last book is Thunder Knocking at My Heart, which is the book about my journey through surviving heart attacks and heart surgery and moving into what it is that God has me to do after that point. Wade in the water, oh, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Pour into me, O God, let your spirit fill me. Pour into me, O God, let your peace enthrall me. Let your love seep into every broken place. Pour into me, O God, fill me with your light. Consume me with your warmth. Illuminate my heart, that I may see myself from your view. Pour into me, O God, may the lessons of the past guide and direct my path. Order my steps with the gift of knowing. Pour into me, O God, fill me with your truth. Pour into me, O God, fill me with your message, that I may tell a dying world of your saving grace and mercy. Pour into me, O God, that I may be a reflection of you.
My story is I had a stroke on my birthday about 8 years ago. Just as I was preparing open house at my studio for all of the girls who love to wear ELENA design jewelry. I rose that morning. I felt really excited after showering, and then I'm going in the closet to get my garment, and it continued to fall to the floor. And several times I reached down to pick it up. And the last time I couldn't see, and I felt, sort of unsteady. And then I reached for the chair, sat down, and my right arm fell to the side, and I couldn't pick it up. At that moment, I knew it was a stroke. So I called to my husband. He comes running, and we called the ambulance. And so in short order, I got medical attention. It seemed like a very long time, but only a short spurts of time seemed like a long period of time. This is what stroke does. It just makes you just not living in reality at that point. So after getting medical attention and going through the rehabilitation, which is extremely painful, stretching your muscles and training them all over again, becoming functional is no joke. So then, 6 weeks after that, and I begin to slowly recover. I'm at home with my husband, thank God, taking care of me. I had really resigned myself to giving up on my work, which is creating jewelry in an artistic fashion, dealing with gemstones and create a creative life, a wonderfully glorious creative life. It was gone. Paralysis and all of that was just, it rendered me useless for the most part. After that, I'm just sitting at home, and I don't know if you're a dreamer or what, but I'm a dreamer. I dream things. I actually dreamed that I was going to open a studio again. I'm not sure if I disbelieved it or what, but it became a reality. What I have learned through this experience is perseverance matters. It really is a decision. You have to decide, is this it for me? Am I just going to accept what has happened to me? Or are you going to decide, I'm going to work and see what happens? In my case, I'm open. I am thriving in my studio again. What makes me a survivor that thrives, in my opinion? I fluctuate back and forth between the answer to that, but one in particular is, I believe that if you haven't tried, then don't say you can't. Because once you, especially with stroke, your brain cells have gone to take a rest. And they, well, we're not doing it. They say, okay, no way. I'm going to do this. So oftentimes I tried to do something before I knew I could. So then functioning again is everything. And the more I do, the more I can do. It's a mystery. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. It's a part of who I am, and with the determination in my spirit, just creativity lives within me. And I am the catalyst by which it has to come forth. So I must.